The arena was a cauldron of noise, a sea of faces lit by flashing lights and waving flags, Philippine colors clashing with the blue and yellow of Kazakhstan. Sweat and anticipation hung thick in the air, the kind of tension that makes your skin prickle. It was June 3, 2025, and the boxing world had its eyes locked on this unlikely showdown. In one corner stood the Kazakh, a towering figure with a reputation carved in stone. 20 fights, 20 knockouts, not a single loss. His name was synonymous with destruction, a man who turned opponents into footnotes with a single swing. Across the ring, bouncing lightly on his toes, was the Filipino, a scrapper from the streets of Manila, his eyes burning with something fiercer than fear, hunger. This was no ordinary fight. This was a collision of wills, a test of who could impose their story on the other. The Filipino, smaller, leaner, carried the weight of a nation that had seen too many of its sons fall short. The Kazakh, broad and unyielding, carried the weight of an unblemished record. The bell was moments away, and the crowd knew something historic was brewing. The announcer's voice cut through the chaos, booming over the speakers like a thunderstorm. He introduced the Kazakh first, his accolades rolling off like a war drum. Undefeated, unstoppable, a knockout artist who'd left a trail of broken dreams. The crowd roared, some in awe, others in defiance. Then came the Filipino's introduction. His name met with a tidal wave of cheers from the Filipino fans, their voices rising in a chant that shook the rafters. He was the underdog, the long shot, the man who'd clawed his way through gyms and backyards to stand here. His team huddled around him, their hands on his shoulders, their words sharp and urgent. "Stick to the plan," his trainer whispered. "Move, strike, don't let him set." The Filipino nodded, his jaw tight, his gloves tapping together like a metronome. Across the ring, the Kazakh stared, his eyes cold and unblinking. He'd seen fighters like this before, scrappy, fast, full of heart. They all fell the same. His coach muttered something in his ear, but he barely registered it. His focus was singular. End this quick, keep the streak alive. The referee called them to the center, their gloves touching in a fleeting moment of respect before the war. The crowd hushed as the referee barked instructions, his hand slicing the air for emphasis. Then, with a sharp gesture, he sent them back to their corners. The bell rang, and the arena exhaled. Round 1 was a chess match. The Kazakh stalked forward, his jab like a battering ram, probing for an opening. The Filipino danced, his feet a blur, slipping punches with a grace that belied his street fighter roots. He fired back with quick counters, a jab to the Kazakh's chest, a hook to his ribs. The crowd roared with every connection, sensing the audacity of the underdog. The Kazakh's punches were heavy, each one carrying the threat of a lights-out moment, but the Filipino was liquid, flowing around the danger. "He's moving like he's got wings," one commentator shouted, his voice barely audible over the crowd. The Kazakh's corner urged him to cut the ring, to trap the smaller man, but the Filipino was a ghost, there and gone. By round 2, the Kazakh's frustration was creeping in. His punches, once measured, grew wilder, his massive frame lunging forward in search of the knockout he was known for. The Filipino saw it, felt it. He ducked a looping right hand and cracked a sharp uppercut that snapped the Kazakh's head back. The crowd erupted, a wall of sound that seemed to lift the Filipino higher. "He's got him rattled," the second commentator yelled. "This kid's not just surviving, he's fighting." The Kazakh shook it off. His pride stung and came back with a vicious combination, a left-right that grazed the Filipino's cheek. But the smaller man didn't wilt. He grinned, his mouthpiece flashing, and fired back with a 3-punch flurry that landed clean on the Kazakh's jaw. The bell saved the bigger man from further damage, but his corner was tense as he slumped onto the stool. Between rounds, the Filipino's trainer was all fire. "You're breaking him down," he said, splashing water on his fighter's face. "Keep moving, keep hitting. He's not ready for you." The Filipino nodded, his chest heaving, his eyes locked on the Kazakh across the ring. The bigger man's team was louder, their voices sharp with urgency. "Calm down, pick your shots," his coach barked. "He's fast, but he can't take what you've got." The Kazakh's face was stone, but a faint redness bloomed around his left eye, a sign the Filipino's punches were leaving marks. Round 3 was where the tide turned. The Filipino came out blazing, his confidence surging. He darted in, landed a double jab, then slipped out before the Kazakh could counter. The bigger man swung, his fists cutting the air, but the Filipino was always a step ahead, his head movement sharp, his angles perfect. Then it happened. A mistake. The Kazakh overcommitted to a right hand, leaving his chin exposed. The Filipino pounced, a vicious overhand right crashing into the Kazakh's. Giant stumbled, his knees buckling, and the arena exploded. "Down, down!" The crowd chanted as the Kazakh hit the canvas, his gloves slapping the mat. The referee began the count, his voice steady but drowned by the roar. 1, 2, 3. The Kazakh stirred, his eyes glassy but defiant. By 8 he was up, wobbling but standing. The Filipino didn't hesitate. He charged, his gloves a blur, hammering the Kazakh's guard. A left hook slipped through, catching the bigger man flush, on the chin. The Kazakh's legs buckled again, but he stayed upright, clinging to his pride. The Filipino smelled blood. He pressed forward, his punches surgical now, targeting the swelling around the Kazakh's eyes, the redness on his cheeks. The crowd was on its feet, the noise a living thing, urging the underdog to finish it. The Kazakh threw a desperate haymaker, but it was slow, telegraphed. The Filipino ducked under and unleashed a final right hook that landed like thunder. The Kazakh's head snapped back, his body following, crashing to the mat in a heap. The referee waved it off without a count. It was over. The arena became a volcano, erupting in cheers, screams, and tears. The Filipinos' team flooded the ring, lifting him onto their shoulders as he pumped his fists, his face alight with triumph. Across the ring, the Kazakh's corner rushed to their fighter, his undefeated streak shattered, his face a swollen mask of defeat. The announcer's voice broke through, trembling with excitement. "Your winner by knockout, the pride of the Philippines." The crowd chanted the Filipino's name, a rhythm that pulsed through the arena like a heartbeat. Confetti rained, down, catching the light, turning the scene into something almost holy. The commentators could barely contain themselves. "This is one for the history books," one shouted. "A kid from nowhere just took down a giant. The Philippines is celebrating tonight." The other chimed in, his voice cracking. "What a statement. He didn't just win, he dominated. This is the birth of a new star." The Filipino, still catching his breath, grabbed the microphone from the announcer. His voice was raw but steady. "This is for my people," he said, his accent thick with pride. "For my country, for everyone who believed in me. Salamat Pilipinas, we did it." The crowd's response was deafening, a wave of love and pride that seemed to shake the walls. As the Filipino was carried around the ring, his gloves raised high, the Kazakh sat in his corner, his head bowed. His team worked quietly, applying, ice to his face, their words soft but heavy. He'd been a king, untouchable until tonight. The Filipino, meanwhile, was mobbed by reporters, their cameras flashing, their questions a blur. "How'd you do it?" one asked. He grinned, sweat dripping from his brow. "Heart," he said simply, "and a lot of hard work." His trainer, standing nearby, laughed and clapped him on the back. "This kid's got no quit in him," he told the press. "He's been dreaming of this moment his whole life." The broadcast cut to a montage of the fight's key moments, the Filipinos' lightning-fast counters, the Kazakh's stumble, the final, devastating hook. The screen flashed with text, June 3rd, 2025, a historic victory. The commentators wrapped up, their voices still buzzing with adrenaline. "This is what boxing's all about," one said. "A kid from the Philippines, against all odds, just changed the game. Congrats to him, and congrats to his nation."